seeing the invisible, am I lazy, and do-overs. All this and more on today's Brilliant Observations. Do, 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 do.
And welcome to the Three Stooges edition of Brilliant Observations, featuring the fair Melissa.
Two other stooges. Greetings, my friend. How are you? Oh, my God. You were so in my neighborhood this past weekend, and I wasn't.
Ships in the night. Well, the funny part is I made very, very light arrangements to see you during this trip, and I specifically made arrangements to not see my parents on this trip, who are also in the environs, So I reached out to you and said, let's try to do this thing. And then that all fell apart. And I reached out to my parents well in advance and said, we're going to be driving through your city twice. We will not see you either time. This is your fair warning. I'm just letting you know.
If you see my car, do not flag me down.
I'll throw rocks at you. Yeah, no.
Do not flag me down. We don't know each other.
Come to find out, I stopped and had dinner with them. So the whole thing is like upsy-downsy worlds. And it was just a delight. It was a delight.
That's great. Did you get to catch up and wash her walls and the whole thing, or did you go out?
We go out because it's just, she is fixated on, I want it to be easy for you. I want you. Can I meet you at the rest stop on the highway? Like she's decided that if we're not completely en route, and even during the whole dinner, my dad's like, we got to go. You got to go. Hurry up. No, hurry up. Finish that. You got to get on the road.
You got a big drive ahead of you. I want you to start moving. It's getting dark.
It's not going to get any easier. It doesn't get any better. I do want to get on the road. There's no reason for a needless tarry, but at the same time, I like to finish my drink.
Right.
I mean, it's like, I think we'll be okay.
They just served us. There's really no need to pack it up yet.
It's the kind of thing where I envision if I had gone to the restroom at the restaurant, I could see him. Come on, you get out of there. You got to get on the road.
Your husband's in the car. Let's go. Let's go. I've already had your food packed up. It's fine.
It was nice. And we sort of realized approaching the restaurant, gosh, we haven't seen them. We couldn't even remember the last time we had seen them. It had been too many months. So it's not great. But it's easier because the fall stretch, winter stretch, we do see them fairly regularly. Like every 5-6 weeks we see them. Good, nice, long visits, multi-day in the house, nice, healthy, good visit. And then we try to keep that going in the spring. And then the summer is kind of insane. So it's weird. We have just enough. We have a great amount. And then we have these dearths that also make you wish for the just enough and great amount. So anyway, but it is noticeable because we have a teen and they're well in their 80s. So if just walked up to them on the street, I don't think you would know or notice. They don't look that way. We're sort of really blessed that they're dealing with health issues, but they're just normal fucking get off the couch is painful health issues. It's nothing crazy. My knees are painful. Right. I need to strengthen my knees. Right. I got a guy helping me
replace my knees.
No, right? I got a guy helping me do exercises with my knees so my knee doesn't hurt when I go up and down the 5 sets of staircases I have in my house that I still live in. That sort of thing. So anyway, meaning seeing them is more noticeable, the changes between visit to visit, and because we have this, redwood growing teen who all of a sudden looks like a ridiculous boy man
standing next to them.
He's in the best possible puppy phase of adolescence where he is completely disproportionately growing into whatever he'll be. So, when puppies start out and they have these huge paws
and ears
and just floppy everything, and you're like, I know you're not going to look like this for a long time, but it's funny watching you now, right?
He hasn't grown into his ears yet, is what you're saying.
He's not skimpy wimpy on top. He doesn't look disproportionate.
Well, he's a fucking athlete. So, yeah, I'm guessing that he's somewhat.
He's great. Everything's great. We're great. And it was just the one because the other one is in, get this, college. He was on fall break. So he was actually at my house watching my dog. Yeah, and we left him. We're like, hey, great fall break. See ya. And then the other one, where do you think he was in this week of global
Okay, wait. He should
unrest.
be in Prague. I'm going to guess Cyprus. Was he in Cyprus?
There's only one place worse that he could go. Where'd he go?
Are you
It's
fucking kidding me?
No, it's the second to the worst place. He went to Auschwitz this week. This very week, he went to Auschwitz. They went to tour Krakow and Auschwitz. And my first thought, because I am not a Jew and I am obviously an imbecile, my first thought was, I am so glad that you were going there on this important week. I am so glad that you were having this horrible, horrible, soul-crushing experience
Intense, yeah.
in the middle of probably the most important time in our lifetime to connect with that. Like, I was like, there could not be a better time for you to go and honor, and connect with what the fuck is happening. And then the second I told somebody, and I was like, oh, he's so great, and, la, la, la. Somebody else was like, why would he go to one of the least safe places? And I was like, is it unsafe there? I feel like I don't like calling Nazis because it's just not strong enough. There's not an ugly enough word for them. But don't you think the Nazis have decided we win here? Like, you don't go back to the places you've won. You want to go and fight other. So I don't feel like they're going back there.
They're more museum-y now. They're more look at the here's photos and walk through. And I thought
never forget it. Yeah,
right.
Never forget.
Well, I'm glad you didn't forget because it's happening again. That's really
I completely. And here's another thing I just want to say real quickly on this, because the complete opposite thing happened this week, in that I had an experience of overwhelming joy, and it changed me. So I want to talk about that perspective, and to happen in this week, it's kind of crazy.
Go ahead.
So somebody who's a friend of the pod, and I think an actual friend of yours, I'm never on social media anymore, and because I was on a long car trip this week, I was on social media because what else are you doing? You're in a car and you're not driving. And she posted that thing where it says, I'll never forget the whatever silence of my friends, right? Not the hatred of the enemies. I'll remember the silence of my friends. People who don't speak out, right? And I've been trying to speak out about what's happening, and I don't know how to do it because the loss and the inexplicable cruelty is so multifaceted. You sort of don't know where to begin and where to end. And I also feel like this is the beginning for me, the first however many years, months, decades, minutes of not yet speaking out in Black Lives Matter movement and all that, until finally it was just, I felt so personally connected to it. It's like, I know I'm going to get this wrong, but here's what I'm dealing with right now. And I almost put that stuff out there, but I feel like it's too raw right now, for me so I don't even know what the fuck to say, because it's like, how many different wrong can you point? And I also am not one to say I want to fill and flood my feed and my life with wrong stuff. My goal is actually
joy.
But I'm going to talk about that in a lot of context later. But anyway, so how do you feel about people not publicly condemning? I do the individual reach out to folks who I know are more directly connected to this, and I reconnect with them specifically over this topic and see if there's anything I can do to help. I'm just asking you as a person, not as a representative Jew.
Yeah.
Do you feel an impulse? Are you looking for larger groups of people to say, no, bad, stop it? Or do you simply feel a slight bit of comfort for those who do? Like, are you looking around like who's gonna stand with me? Like, is that, I got the impression it was who's gonna stand with me.
Is the answer to that question.
So tell me about that, because I need some help on that.
When I was away this past weekend with Jews, and when we drove and saw signs that said, I stand with Israel, like, our eyes welled. Like, oh my God, thank you. Not just for not saying negative things, but
then, and also, and still,
and remember when, and the but alsos, right? Everything that I felt like, in my opinion, the Republican Party turned into, well, what about them? And when they stop right now, there is 0.0 rationalization for what has happened, but there is for about what's about to happen. And I guess for me personally, when Israel is criticized for fighting back, I lose my shit, because I don't feel like the rise up against Israel is even, and their retaliation is even close to what it should have been from the same people saying, how did you do? Like, there's no rage for.
Well, there is no equivalency. anywhere. And second thought, we have multiple false targets and false victims. They're not equivalent to each other, but we do have false targets. So it gets really complicated, really, because we're talking about one specific group who is pushing for the literal extinction of a group of people. That shit's not okay. It's just not. So of course you stand with Israel. If people are saying you don't get to exist, the answer is fuck you, yes I do. So, I mean, that's pretty straightforward.
I didn't remember Hamas dropping leaflets saying, you guys, shit's about to go. What they dropped were hand gliders and murderers.
Yikes.
That's what they dropped. They didn't drop leaflets that said, start moving south because I'm coming for the people who did this atrocity. I really feel like it was one of those, you get to see who people really are. Remember when we saw like MAGA come out and you saw like things, people's views, and you thought I knew that dude. I did not know that dude. Like all of a sudden his memorabilia from wars of past are on Facebook now. Good to know, right? This isn't good to know. Like I don't feel that way again. And it's funny because I talked to my friend Joel and he said, do you know who's reaching out to me? All of my Italian friends. They have a mothership also that they know is, whether they've been or not, and you hadn't been until you just were, is the homeland, right? And that's what we call it. That's what you call it. Like there's just this amazing similarity between these two communities. And I said, you know what? Amy called me this week too. Like I'm getting those calls. Carrie, Amy, like my Italians are calling their Jews, and he's absolutely right. And
part of it too is because what the fuck else can we do? I'm not going to pick up a gun, right? I'm not. So I'm not going to join the army. I even thought, okay, well, what's a group I can contribute to here?
We got a lot of those emails this week, by the way.
But I feel like, I mean, me giving money to some, can we not hate them today? I feel like... What's that going to do, really? There's got to be something bigger and more direct, and the most expedient thing felt like I have a personal connection with someone, so lean into that. So that's the only thing that I did, and I'm super flawed, looking for answers. Give me more. I'll be happy to try it. Like, send your feedback. I will happily ignure it, but not because I don't like your feedback, just because I don't really tend to read anything that people send us. So
don't worry, dear. How dare you? Don't worry, dear.
They know it.
I read everything, and then I call her and say, you need to read this.
You have to read this one, stupid. Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay.
I do, and the way we do that is by writing to brilliantobservations@gmail.com. Amy's asking you for help. Normally, we ask you for thoughts, hopes, dreams. She's asking you for help, and I think you should do it. Go to Brilliant Observations on Facebook, at Listen Brilliant on Instagram, and fuck Twitter. So...
And the last one here is, hey, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm going to tell you something about Twitter. So, hey, Beth, if you're listening, I stand with Israel. So there you have it. I started to post that on all my socials, and it just felt so disingenuous to do, which it shouldn't, but it did.
If it's not in with what you've been posting and it seems like a wild non sequitur and you're not comfortable with it, that's fine.
It wasn't about any of that. That's all correct. But the real hesitation is less about, here's 19 cooking videos, I stand with Israel, and a Pop-Tart recipe. Like it wasn't
what kind of Pop-Tart? What kind of Pop-Tart?
They're so good. They're so good. No, it wasn't that. It really was. This is just not the channel or the place for it. And for me to put it there, I perceived as self-aggrandizing. I perceived as bandwagony. And it felt not at all like anyone who needed to see it would see it. It felt like I needed to tick a box by posting it. And I'm not that person. So that was my hesitation. So I also give that. Well, I give that by way of, if you are feeling, why am I alone in this? Where am I goy? Fuck you. Can't you say a sentence? What's wrong with you? Part of what's wrong with us is it feels a little false flaggy and like you're not accomplishing the task of supporting you, but instead putting the spotlight on me, when I post that shit. So
Did you
it
feel
has
that
nothing
way?
to do about you. For a long time I did about black stuff. But
Yeah,
then,
Black
but then I
Lives
looked back
Matters.
over my feed and I realized half of this is black stuff anyway, like black artists who I love and black bakeries that I love and black music that I love. And it was just like black comedians that I love. It was half of it was I'm not black in any way, but it's also not my first foray into this is a great culture. I love a whole lot about it. I'm grateful that it's here. And no, you don't deserve what you're getting. No, you sure don't. Of course you don't. So in any way, if I had got like sukut recipes or whatever the fuck else, I don't know what, all over my thing and like, here's how you marinate them apples in wine. Like that's not what my shit is. So
This is the best recipe for haroset. See how I became my mom there for a minute?
That's the one. Anyway, so there is another reason for why the shut upness, and it's got nothing to do with you. So we'll get over it and fix that. We're gonna fix that real quick. We're gonna fix all this problem real quick. Just wait. Come on.
There was the post that I did see that said, they came for the black community, and I stood up, and now they're coming for the Jews, and I'm alone, and it's because I'm a Jew. Like,
I didn't see that one. I thought it was they came for
devastating.
the journalist, and I said nothing, and then they came for me, and there was nobody left. So that's been morphed into
they
came for
saying,
the blacks.
I
and
fought
said
for everyone,
yeah.
and now here I am alone because I'm a Jew, and that's just something that people see as other. That's
well, I
like
tell you, the most successful communication strategy that I've seen about anti-Semitism is that blue square campaign that's everywhere. And the TV commercials that come up and say, this is the percentage of people that are the target. And this is the percentage of the communication that's targeting them. And I was like, there's a disparity there.
Seems like a fair fight.
Look at that. That doesn't make any sense.
But instead of making this an entirely political Jewish thing,
sorry.
But it's always been a David and Goliath kind of situation for them. I mean, look at a picture. It's smaller than New Jersey, and the masses around them, mostly desert, but the masses around them all want them obliterated. So the fact that you lived for so long when your fence line right behind you were people who wanted you dead is shocking. Or it's a lot. It's very emotional. And like I said, the way the Italian community has this mothership that calls them home, right? The Jews have the same thing, and it's absolutely a personal attack. So it's been a tough, and it will be a tough, but I wanted to come here and share joys and have that
indeed
spotlight go towards, and I'm going to start with seeing the invisible. If anybody knows about this in my life, I would think it would be you. Do you know what that is?
I don't. I can't. I'm fascinated by the sentence. I want more. Give.
Okay. Do you remember Pokemon Go?
Yes.
You would see these little kids, and God help you adults, who were walking around with their phones and trying to catch not their artificial, I want to say intelligence, but people were falling off of cliffs going
we had
to find.
Several. I don't remember what the locations were called. Are they just called spots? I don't know what they're called.
If I knew, I wouldn't admit it.
Catching places or whatever they are. We had 2 of them on our street. So it was a frequent occurrence of like strangers would come and like getting out of their cars.
Sure, they would
stuff.
follow directions. It's like geocaching.
Cool.
You watch your kids put like a geocache
under
your mailbox.
Stupid.
Right.
Cool.
Right. At least a
loved
geocache was something better. You could get. This is just I'm collecting Pokemon. I mean, I don't even know what to say about it.
I gotta say, it really connected with that entire generation.
It
My
sure did.
18-year-old college freshman, one of his classes that he loves to tell everybody college is so easy. One of his classes, the assignment for entrepreneurial class was to go to the makerspace on campus and make a sticker for your laptop. And when you came into class with the sticker on your laptop, you would get whatever you'd tick off that assignment. Yes. So he went. And I said, "Well, that's so cool. What sticker did you have to cut it out with the CNC machine?
I
you
love
have to
it.
Design it and all this other
Take
stuff.
out your
so
Cricut. Yeah.
Multiple thing. Blah blah. He made a Pokemon.
Shut your fucking
And he didn't just
mouth.
make a Pokemon. He goes, I made a.
Yeah, he gave you a specific.
I'm like, what's that?
It's a very rare Pokemon,
it's
Mom.
a Pokemon because I'm an 18-year-old man. I'm like, are you?
Well, seeing the invisible does this. Like there are places around the world. There's one in Jerusalem. I just opened it up to kind of just give you a basic, I don't know, introduction to, but it's an augmented reality contemporary art exhibit.
Nice.
Right?
Let's go.
Right? But they're all over the place. I found out about it because I met my 2 favorite lesbians. All right. Second favorite couple. Sorry, Marnie, Lisa. Who
I was going to say, those are your favorite lesbians. If
who
you're
went to...
Hey, wait a minute. Stop.
Uh-oh.
This is a full stop, new chapter, subsection A.
Second
favorite lesbian
Second
cage
favorite.
match. Okay, who are the 2 lesbian couples
cage
have to fight for top lesbian couple? I'm in. I'm ready to go. And I don't even know who you think is the favorite. I think you have to Don King this shit, and they're all your favorite. And is it a fight for the 4 to a 1 favorite lesbian?
No,
are we going
it's
2
couple.
on 2? It's doubles?
Couples, yeah.
I'm in. How much are the tickets?
Favorite. In the best Richard Christie accent, which I don't do accents. You do.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
This couple I know from the world said, we just got back from Disney. And I'm like, fuck, you know what? Disney's slowly becoming my favorite.
To go to Walt Disney World?
They are embraced at Disney. The second they put their foot outside of Disney, they're fucked.
I meant you're a lesbian. Aren't you supposed to go to like Thailand and have a bag of worms and, climb a cliff? Like, I don't picture Disney as a place that lesbians want to go. Because lesbians are a monolith of interest. Go ahead.
Are they going to rescue some dogs and children and bring them
Yes.
all home from Thailand?
Is there
Is that
Subaru
the
parking
picture?
at Disney? Come on. Is there a baseball park at Disney? No.
So one of their stories is one of my topics for later, but seeing the invisible, obviously in Florida there's one as well. Like, you pick the worst fucking state. But you take your phone and you see trees that aren't there.
I remember the invisible things at Walt Disney. There's like a kiosk, sort of. It's really more like a aluminum stick, honestly, like a 2x4 size. And you put your phone in front of it, and then a scene appears. It's fucking weird.
Well, now it's everywhere. So now there are these big things all over the world. And I'm so excited because I'm traveling to Australia soon.
What? Walt is whack. You got to get off that kid's trip. He was going by himself, you fucker.
He is going by himself, but I want to see Australia too. I don't care if I even see him. I'd like to see Australia.
Why are you going with him?
I'm not going with him. He's going to spend a full semester there. At the tail end of it,
You're going to visit him.
Well, I'm going to see Australia, and if I
You're
have a
allowed
meal
to visit him on a trip. I thought you were going to. I didn't know he was going for the whole semester.
Oh yeah, whole semester.
I thought he was just going to fucking go because that's how your kids are, right? I'm going to the King's Castle today. We're going to be playing cricket. And it's like, okay, sure.
But I want to look and see if they have a Seeing the Invisible there, because I just love the idea of you get to. It's just incredible. Dear listener, if this is something with which you have experience, can you please let us know and tell me where and what and all the goods? And if it's something that you think I'm a complete crackhead about, feel free to tell your family about it and not me, because I'm amazed. And it's my Pokemon Go, I guess.
Do you see ghosts? Do you see spirit? Do you see other dimensions? I'm asking really because
this one is an artistic one, so I'm sure there are.
I thought that's where we were going with this. Do you? Because I have in the past month, and it freaked me the fuck out. Do you?
I do not.
Never in your life?
Never.
You've not felt a presence and/or for a split second seen a presence and thought you'd seen it?
No. Felt? Yeah. I mean, there have been a cold breeze where I'm like, oh my god, Poppy, if that's you, this is right up your alley. Or been at a graduation and thought so hard about my Nana seeing it that I felt like she was there with me, like kind of a summons. But no, I've never. Is that a ghost? I've never. If some shadow walked by, it's because my kid was doing something or a dog was dragging. Like, there's never been like that for me. I would love.
So you explain it away in human terms.
Oh, absolutely. I would love an opportunity to not do that. But it just. It's not.
It is alarming. It is a little. It's not the most soothing thing.
Do you see dead people?
No, just this past maybe it was within the past 2 weeks. I feel like it was like a week ago. All the days blur together. They're so full. Gratefully, there was someone in the hall in my empty house, and it was to the point where I was sitting down. And I became aware of something just up and out of my eye line, and I immediately popped my head up to look, like a startled response, and then I saw the shape and it disappeared. And the dog did the same thing that I did. So we both were lighted to this thing in the one direction. And then he got up and investigated, and his hairs were up.
Oh, thank God he got up and investigated.
And I just sort of kept looking in that area, and he sort of sniffed all around, and then he went and laid back down again. But at the same time, it was like it was a weird one. But I also have that I have these wonderful, this is part of this joy thing. I've totally jumped all over what you were saying in The Invisibles. Are you done? I don't want to keep rolling here.
It's something I thought you would love, and it's something I want you to experience, but you're experiencing something very different right now.
So I'm I love to put meaning behind whatever's happening. So we're always telling a story about our lives and in our heads and to others. We're writing the story all the time. Our own reality is the story that we're telling ourselves. And it can be anything that you want. And that sentence is so profound, you don't really sit with it long enough to fully absorb how profound it is that your reality can be anything that you want, because you are creating you're creating reality, period. So I love writing stories and receiving meaning about things that are happening, and just ignore whether or not it's true. Case in point, I looked up on the highway. We were on this long trip. I was starting to feel the exhaustion and feel the suck and the drain of being on this trip. And I looked
Embrace the suck.
And somewhere in one of the states, Virginia, Maryland, I don't remember who it is, but they consciously plant wildflowers along the side of the highway in specific state colors. And they do this throughout the whole state to make sure that the species is represented. And I mean, I used to look into it and understand it. Maybe it was in Virginia because I lived there at one point, so I know a little bit about it. Anyway, so it's beautiful. And I happened to look up, and to the right of me, so it's not the median, it's alongside the other side of the highway, it was just sporadic, purple and white, just a little bit, and a little bit of yellow, and mostly green grass and these little flowers.
That's Virginia.
And I thought, oh, this is so nice. I'm so glad I got to see these flowers. I had forgotten they'd do that. I love flowers. Isn't this? And so I sort of ruminated on the flowers for a little bit. And I said, I'm so glad that I got to see those. That's for me. I love seeing things that make me happy. And I said the words, that's for me. And I said it out loud in my head, so loud that I was gesturing with my hands. And Brian said, what's that? And I said, I said, because I didn't use any sound as I'm talking to myself. And he goes, with your hands? And I said, yes. So shut up. So then I went back to what I was doing.
What's that?
And I was reading at this point, which I don't normally do because it tends to make me sick.
Vomit, right?
Reading a little piece of news, and so it was pretty tough news. Yeah.
Yeah.
Real tough. And then I was startled out of what I was reading. I was engrossed in what I was reading, and it was like someone had kicked me. And I popped my head up at a different stretch of highway that was flooded with blue and white and yellow flowers and no green grass. The entire thing. And it was ahead of me. So it was not something that caught my eye and
somebody was
vision.
telling you to look.
Yes. So I love this idea of when you take notice of something that you like, you can call more of it to you in your life. And similarly, when you take notice of something you don't like, you can accidentally call more of it to you in your life. You can ruminate on something in an effort to try to fix it. You can fixate on something because it's weighty and of concern, and you feel like you're processing it, but it can turn into a rumination that simply brings more of it and helps your brain identify, this is for you. I'll bring you more sadness and pain and roughness.
Sure.
This is for you. So I don't love this idea of let's just bounce through all the flowers and ignore the reality of the pain in the world. That's not okay. It's not what I'm saying. But there has to be some way where you can front load good shit to come your way. And I love that part. So
okay,
I love that part.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start a movement because of this and because of your very awkward way of sharing this. We are going to, as a community, and guys, we're over 300 strong. Like, if you're curious, we are over 333 strong. So when you see something that does bring joy in some way, I want you to take your pointer finger, point it up in the air and say, that's for me.
That's it.
I want you to just point your finger straight up, not at anyone. Don't start shit. Just point it straight up in the air and say, that's for me.
It's so simple. It's so simple.
Say it out loud. Just say it out loud.
I'm reminded now in the way you broke that down and made it so obvious and visual and crystal clear. That joke that was going around maybe 6 months, a year ago, when people would say, if you find your boyfriend's phone or you find your friend's phone laying on the counter, start saying things into it to train the algorithm. So say things like Chanel bag, dinner out, Mercedes-Benz, right? money, luxury product.
Engagement ring.
Engagement ring. I was trying to think of what do I want this person to give me.
From my boyfriend, engagement ring.
So let's just play the game, literally the game of universal life and energy, and say that there's an algorithm at work.
That's for me.
That's for me. Train the algorithm to bring you better shit, man.
That's for me. It's the easiest thing to say, and it will be the title of this episode. And you can always look back to episode, 351.
Blah, 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 which
Where
I've stopped putting the numbers out, actually.
What?
I don't put the number in the title. It used to, the number was literally in the title.
Yeah.
So now it's not. It's numbered by Apple. So
okay, that's
the reason I stopped, because it was like, number 1, title, number 1.
Okay.
And then spelled out numeral 1.
That's not for me. Let's be clear. You can do both. But Amy's point is to not draw so much attention to what's not. Wait, am I right about this? That's your point? Not so much attention.
There are lots of ways to de-emphasize what you want less of.
Right.
There are lots of ways to do it. One of the simplest ways is to overemphasize what you want more of. That's the simplest way to make any kind of a change, even losing weight, even adding extra. Add the things you want, and ultimately the others will get squeezed out. Your brain is so miraculous and working for you all the time to make patterns, to make associations, to bring you what it thinks you want. And guess who's in charge of what it thinks? Fucking you.
That's
so tell
for me.
it what to think. That's for me.
That's for me.
That's for me. This giant vault filled with money that I didn't have to work to earn, that's for me. That's
right.
for I want this.
That feels
I
like
love receiving money.
That feels like a child's thing. I think you have to wait to see something and say that's for me. So if you're in that vault,
you're making your own reality.
Ruh-roh.
Jeff Bezos exists. Oprah Winfrey exists. People exist that don't get paid an hourly wage that is proportionate to the work they do in an hour. People exist right now in our experience, in our consciousness.
That's for me.
That's for me.
That's for me.
Open your mind to what can be. But my point to you is this. This week, of the many joys that I experienced amid the crazy, perplexing unfairness of our shared circumstance, is we had tickets to go see a comedy show. And it was not a show that I would have bought tickets to.
Oh, why? They're
fabulous. Not a show that I was interested in going to.
That's for me.
I was doing this because I thought, I love going out with my husband. I'm so excited and grateful that he's planned a date night. I can't wait to go, and he wants to see this. I can't wait to go and see him be very happy doing this.
Love that.
And it was a comedy duo of Stevie Martin and Martin Short, who some of you young ones might know only from Murders in the Building television show, but we know from Saturday Night Live.
Because he's a wild and crazy guy.
Jiminy Glick, and as far back as you can fucking go. Some deep, deep love for these comedians. So what the fuck are they going to talk about?
Oh my God, everything. They're best friends.
He's 77 and 73, right? They're not peppy. Like, what the fuck are they going to, what's the show about? They don't do stand-up. Like, I just went into it with the lowest possible expectations. Okay? I did. And because my husband bought the tickets, you can imagine.
They were in second row.
We were in row 5.
Okay, same.
Seats 7 and 8.
Aisle seat, yep.
Yes. So I literally made
Sat
eye
on
contact
his lap,
with.
right?
And it was like a private show. We were just so fucking super close, right? Crazy, crazy close. So we definitely saw everything. And I do mean everything. So I sat down, and they didn't have any kind of an opening act. They didn't have any kind of a warm-up. They just started the fucker. And after Hello, I'm Steve Martin, until the 5th standing encore ovation, I did not stop laughing. For it was well over 2 hours. They ran long because we laughed so hard. I feel like we may have been one of their best audiences ever. They remarked a couple times about it, and you could tell that they were relieved,
everything hit, yeah,
and then grateful, and then surprised. They kept saying, "You guys are amazing." Like they were like, "This shit's not even funny." Like, I mean, it was true. We had gotten so worked up into a lather over, "We are here to laugh, fucker. Press the button.
Dance, monkey, dance."
And dance he did. At one point, Martin Short put on a nudie suit where it was skin tight and they had drawn on the outside.
This is where you saw everything.
Where his penis is supposed to be and his nuts are supposed to be. No, and he would dance and hop like that crazy leprechaun he is, and his dick would get in the wrong position because he's a man. So it would like flap over to his leg, and he would reach down and grab it and then stick it where it's supposed to be with the drawing in front. And then he would like grab it and pull it so it would look bigger. I swear to God, this is a man who is 18 feet from me grabbing his 74-year-old dick. And tears are still, he was so proud of his penis. He was so proud of every part of him. He was hilarious. They were just hilarious.
They're delightful.
So my point in all of this is they didn't mention, and they did some political jokes about our elected representatives. They skewered both sides gently and harshly in a southern town. Do you really want to make jokes about Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ted Cruz? Yeah, I guess you do. And they all hit.
Texas and Georgia, right here in
they all hit.
North Kakalaki.
So I feel like that was part of the reason that they were like, I don't know how this shit's going to go, but we are who we are.
Maybe that's why they were so surprised. Yeah.
And then they had this banjo-esque band that came out. And I should also say that
it's bluegrass. It's bluegrass.
Well, Greensboro is the home of the North Carolina, I can't think of folk. That's the word I was looking for. North Carolina Folk Festival is headquartered here. And then we also have, which is a big deal because Merle Fest and a lot of these other festivals are always in the mountains.
Yeah.
Right. So it's, to have it here was like a big coup. So, I mean, and Rhiannon Giddens and all the rest of it. This is a big hotbed for that kind of music anyway. So when the banjo pickers and everybody else came out, and Steve Martin at one point left, and they did like 2 to 3 songs, and everybody was going insane. So it was
he
like
had to
part
poop.
concert.
He didn't go anywhere. He pooped.
Well, and I feel like they had to maybe go towel him off because they were coated in sweat, and we worked him up into a lather. Here is all of this to say. They didn't come out and say, it's a really shitty week, let's laugh together. Because we knew it. You walked into that room and you could feel it. And in the beginning, it was fun and loose and light, like a release valve had been opened. And then once it was open, it was almost, I'm going to start crying. It was almost like an anti-violence response. It was almost like a sacred act. I am literally crying. The harder you laugh, the better this world gets. It is your job to laugh right now. We need to make all of the joy in this room an energy force and push it out into the world. That's our job.
That's for me.
And everybody in the fucking room got that message.
The assignment.
And the way they fed off us on that stage and the way we fed it right back to them, I can feel my body getting warm as I think about it. It was amazing and intense and an energy exchange. It was the highest and best form of spirituality, of religion, of intellectualism, of raw physical power. It was everything that you can think of as a human experience, and it started with a fucking laugh over an idiotic pratfall joke. And they didn't layer anything onto it, and they didn't question it, and they didn't stand up there and say, we are important, we have ego, we should have done something better with our lives, we should stay home because we're old. They did it almost as if what could be more powerful and important than for us to share and exchange and amplify fucking joy, to expand it everywhere. And it changed me. It changed me in the sense that I look down my nose at everything that I do. And I always pick the stuff that I'm really good at that I don't love because I'm really good at it, because it feels important and it feels smart. And the stuff that I have the biggest response and the biggest connection and the biggest impact and energy exchange is stuff that I think is not worthy and not worth my time. Because I don't want to be known for being silly or being frivolous or making something pretty or bringing joy in whatever form the joy comes. I just don't.
I don't think that's true, because you are someone who, when you started a business, it was joy. I think you identify quite well with joy and want to spread it. So it's interesting to me that you push it, you feel you push it away, because I feel you bring it.
All of the things that I have started, and I don't want to say attempted because they were successful, but I would allow to blossom and then squash in the past 5 years are the most I've ever leaned into that stuff. I went to college as an art major, and I changed my major into something more practical. And I pursued that, and I got an art minor, It's like, I'll put that down. Even the singing stuff, The connection that I feel physically in my body when I'm singing and that I see on other people and the emotion that it brings and it wells and the vibrations in the room. I don't do it. I had the opportunity to do that as a career and I don't do it. The cooking stuff. I met with a fucking producer about having a cooking show, about bringing just the joy of making and seeing and relaxing and nurturing yourself and others with the simple act of eating fucking food. But it's not important. I don't want to be associated with that. You've heard me say, I don't want my life to be about that. And blah, 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 me. Going to this show felt like such an affirmation that I've heard this a lot in sort of studying and being around artists. The artist's job is not to judge the art. The artist's job is to fucking make it. It's not my job to say what my job is. My job is to do the work. So
is that going to change your life? Are you going to?
I have to. Though my work now is to stop worrying about what my work is. Rick Rubin is really my guru, and Rick Rubin is everybody's guru because he doesn't actually do anything. He is the model poster child of I get paid to be my own essence. I mean, he's fucking Coach Prime for artists because he's like, I get paid for my confidence. I get paid for my confidence in my taste and my ability to express it. I have no technical ability of any kind. Zero. I don't give advice. I just bring my fucking vibe, and people pay me handsomely to sustain me.
Say it with me, everybody. That's for me.
That's for me. That's for me, Rick. That's for me, Steve. And those fuckers work. They work really hard for what they're doing, but they're working hard in pursuit of the frivolousness of the joke.
Of joy. Yes. I love that.
So I'm not afraid of working towards something or putting effort in towards something. I am excited that I connected whatever happened at that show with take the labels off yourself. So we'll see how I do. That's for me.
That's for you. And it all started with my fucking husband bought tickets for shit I don't want to see, and I fucking didn't want to go. These two ass clowns, well, they don't do stand-up. What the fuck do I care? And now she's a crying mess of new direction in life. So, dear listener, doesn't that prove to you that you never know from where inspiration and joy might show up? Which is why, as I head out to Tucson this weekend, I'm very excited and open.
You need drugs that bad?
Oh, yeah, I'm going back to Arizona. I'm going for a bar mitzvah. It should be great.
That's a lot of love. Because shit, who gets on a plane for that shit?
I don't even know these people.
God bless them. What do you say when you're having is it literally bar mitzvah?
Mazel tov.
That's the one. I forgot it. I'm sorry.
We always stick with Mazel Tov. Or just
Mazel.
Yeah, that's it. You got it. So you have this like really deep connection and this epiphany. And I had a great conversation with this couple about their Disney trip. And she said, and there's one more thing I want to tell you. And I'm like, I don't think I want you to. She said, well, I've given you really good referrals for Chinese food and this and that. And she goes, I have a cookie place for you. And I'm like, ooh, cookies. Yes, I'm all in. Dear listener, you know about it. It's Gideon's Bakehouse.
That's for me.
That's for me. She knew. I didn't have to say it. She knew. She knew me well enough. Gideon's Bakehouse at Disney Springs or wherever it is. You know, the hour-long wait. You can only get 6 of them or 7 of them. They're $1.50 a piece, whatever it is. They are sublime. They have a marketing plan that is beyond any of the drops we're used to. They have a T-shirt, limited edition, 100 of them drop or 200 of them drop, and you get every month. They have a new one. They have collector's cards, which have the graphic from the T-shirt, and they look like, I mean, they're playing cards-ish, but not with suits or anything. And it has like the texture of a canvas as the card. So you're collecting something substantial and not just a baseball card, which is a little shiny but smells like the gum that was in the back of the, sure. So they have all of these things that are limited. They have monthly drops and releases. It's amazing, right? So she shows me pictures of the cookies, and I say, well, I'm not going to Disney. I'll tell you that much. well, would they franchise? Is that something that they would franchise? And she said, no. They're only in Disney. They have 2 locations. You can order more at the second location, which isn't on grounds. But sure. All the things. I would invest in that. I would invest locally in a cookie shop that is ridiculous like that, right? Like, because you have to admit, that's fucking ridiculous. And
it seems like next level. I was tracking you and I was thinking, is this out of New York? I don't understand it. Is it one of those fist-sized cookies? Like, what is this craziness that you're talking about? And people try to replicate the recipe and can't figure it out.
There are dupe recipes online. By the way, I had a Starbucks lemon loaf cake with the icing this weekend because our favorite bakery closed, and I will be making one of those. That shit.
There's a new Starbucks concoction. I don't know how new it is, but it's all over TikTok, and everybody who orders it, is
it the drink?
Random people who don't go to Starbucks say, I did it, and they take a sip, and then they have this out-of-body experience. So, and I keep thinking, I'm going to write that down.
It's like a brown sugar and some squirt of this.
And then there's like a weird twist at the end, like a backflip, and then all of a sudden.
Feels like a sex move.
So this cookie, you're gonna now.
I'm back into the sex move that you just did. There's a twist at the end, and it's.
Oh, we're having sex? I'm ready.
That drink.
Maybe it's a sex cookie. Oh. We could franchise the porno cookie.
I thought, I'll do it. I'll franchise. I did a little Google search. He does not franchise. It's one super weird dude who's slightly allergic to the sun, so he doesn't go to Disney certain months.
You really have to start with super weird. Anytime you're talking about mogulizing, that's what I am, right? All this stuff I've been spouting on this show, people are like, Lord. It's because when you get a little off and you're in your own tiny dot on something, when you're on that cookie and you decide, these cookies need trading cards. I mean, it's like, do they though?
Wasn't he high when he figured that out? My cookies need trading cards.
Let's hit it.
That's so ridiculous. But it made me super curious. Like, what businesses would you invest in for your area? Like, what would you endorse so deeply besides the Only Murders in the Building cast? So much so that you would financially invest to see its success and share the joy of this product by you.
It's funny that it's product because I'm constantly
or service
lamenting that these gorgeous buildings that stand vacant or abused or underused or however you want to look at it could be such fantastic community spaces for an after-hours club for kids or a 24-hour thing where it is, coffee most of the time and a makerspace in the morning, and then it's but there, and there's no alcohol, and then it becomes this thing where it's about let's just all be LA sober. There's no alcohol in this place, so it can be all ages. Right downtown where there's trolley service and all this other stuff. Or
LA sober is weed, right? LA sober is high as fuck.
Well, yeah, but there's no alcohol.
Okay,
alcohol
I just wanted to make sure because you're like, bring kids. And I'm like, okay.
I don't think that not serving alcohol means that anyone in there will not be high. I mean, it'll be Vape Central.
Right.
It'll be Hexate, CB, Cracko, Bingo.
I sent you something this week.
Oh.
Last week. About that school, to all the girls, about the school that they turned into a housing facility for all your nearest and dearest. Or actually, they did it to rent out. And
there's people who buy and convert former middle school, high school, secondary school, a very large public building with lots of rooms in it, and turn it into apartments or workspace, or we're going to have our 5 besties move in and this is our retirement plan. That sort of is what you're talking about.
As long as you preserve the basketball court in the gym, I am all in.
Court, yes.
But I thought, this is Amy's room. It was the cafeteria. She will be cooking for all of us here. She will be providing food joy. And I went through it in my head and I thought, oh my God, everybody has at least one dog. They will just wander around this elementary school, this high school all day long and then get let out at some point and be on the field.
Here's our Subaru parking. Yes, we're ready to go.
And our young Thai children that we brought home from Thailand. Good Lord. But for you are one who likes to make things beautiful and pretty. So I have a friend here who later in life, like when she turned 50, decided she wanted to do ornamental horticulture. I don't know that those are the right words. She does urns.
This is the front porch gal, yeah?
This is the front porch gal. She does tons of shit, and she is making a fortune doing that because she's still doing it, and it's expensive to do. So I also know one of her former clients who's like, I can't afford that shit anymore. What are you, crazy?
People will pay for anything. People will pay Rick Rubin for his vibe. People will pay for anything. People will pay Etsy for face bells. If we haven't proven on this show
how stupid people are.
No, there is a market for everything.
Remember
there is a value for everything.
Do you remember when Erin wanted to massage people's dogs in Manhattan? She was just going to get into her taxi and drive and pick up dogs, and
she'd have a different life today if she chose
rub
that
them.
path.
Yeah, right.
And we'd be visiting her in Bali because that shit would have fucking worked. I mentioned to my mom, and it gutted her. It took her a minute to get back over it. At dinner that we just had last night, talking about Christmas coming up, we fortunately, several years ago, not that many, moved away from all of the cousins and children and nieces and everyone giving each other gifts because it's
smart.
It's just too much. And now the cousins and nieces and everyone, the oldest batch of them two of them are engaged. So we've got 2 weddings coming up in the next bit of year and a half, 2 years now, and everybody's excited. But they're of buying years. And now they're resurging this idea of can we just do a gift exchange where we just do it? There's just one gift and we trade it. Can we just do that? And I was and my dad was saying, no. And this is just my parents and my one child and husband and me at the table. So it wasn't a family meeting.
Right.
And we were all against it. And my mom was saying, well, I voiced that I was against it. And I was told, this is not your decision. And she was sort of all up in arms. And I said, well, I agree. And I've said I don't want it, but the girls really want it. And they have the money. They're old enough now that they want to spend gifts. And I said, because we don't want the gifts. And before I could stop myself, I said the truth. I said, because we just throw it out. And her face looked like I had slapped her tit. She was not interested in hearing this. Okay. And I immediately paused, which was new for me because I was about to go, let me explain. And I was just like, let it sit there because that's what we do. She's not here to hear it. I told you I don't want it.
I donated everything you've given me.
You said, I really want you to receive this. And so my answer is, I can't wait to receive it. Thank you. I'm so grateful to have received it. Now I've received it. And that doesn't mean I have to keep it. Doesn't mean I have to want it. I received it.
Which is what you asked for, right?
I received it.
I gave you what you needed.
I don't have to store it. I don't have to cherish it. I just have to receive it and enjoy receiving it from you, which I truly do. I'm glad it brings you. I want to be in this energetic exchange that you giving me something and you get to see me be happy and I get to receive it and show that it was thoughtful and that you put time. This is so great and it's wonderful. And now that job is done and the object doesn't do any more of those things. And I've learned I'd prefer to have my space clean. So in the trash it goes.
So is part of that exchange her wanting to see you enjoy it, to wear it, to experience it, depending on what the gift is? Like pick a gift. But
I usually end up with I don't know what to get her, so I'll get her this gift. I know that nobody knows me. I am the crazy aunt. And I think, unfortunately, probably give really good gifts because I listen to my people, my nieces and my nephews. Like I probably don't give good gifts to my friends because I never give gifts to my friends. I'm not a big gift giver. But to the kids, I ask their parents what they want. I look at their life. I think about what they want. They have something specific that they've been saving up for, a collection. I give the thing that they actually want instead of the thing that I'm told they want. Like all of that stuff. So there's a big excited, and I put a lot of thought into how are they going to do that. Like that's a good gift, right? And I think what happens is they want to give that feeling back to me. So they go into the store and they look in their budget and they see a tray that can hold olive oil and they think, she's Italian. She likes to cook. She'll love this tray.
We're all Italian. She likes to cook.
So I get an olive covered tray that doesn't match any of my decor that came from a store with a budget I probably wouldn't have shopped in. And I get it and I take a Sharpie and I write on the bottom, this was given to me by this niece on this date, and I cherish it and I put it out for the next 6 days. And that goes those I keep in a bucket in the attic, right? So that occasionally when you take out the Christmas decorations,
in a bucket.
you see,
okay.
Look, it comes out of the big Tupperware, right? But when you get down to the point where you're giving me the coffee frother with a monogrammed mug, that's not about me. That's about, I think she drinks coffee. So I was like, thank you for this gift. It's so wonderful. I'll eat the cookie. I throw the mug away. Like, I don't need another mug, right? That's what gifting had become in our group of 19 people sharing gifts with each other. And at a certain point, you're out of money by the time, do you know what I mean? You get an Old Navy sweater that they've marked down to $6, and everybody gets a different colored sweater because it's a sweater Christmas, right? Everybody, our friend Lisa's mother would buy shoes, and then everybody gets the same pair of shoes in a different color, and then you're mad because you didn't get the color that maybe you wanted. But how do you trade?
Because they're size oriented. Who did that?
She will get. I probably have this wrong, and Lisa might be screaming, but what do I care? You're not on the show.
That's crazy.
So she buys a thing, and then everybody gets that fucking thing. One year it was a book. Everybody gets the book. But like a children's book, and then maybe it comes with like a beret or something. I'm making that shit up. She bought shoes for everybody, and they all got the same fucking pair of shoes.
I love that.
I believe the expectation is, now you're going to wear these fucking shoes around me, because next time we're together, everybody's wearing these shoes. So you can't. So now you're stuck. You got to wear these fucking shoes. And her mother, can I say, she has a lot of coins to rub together. So these are probably like really nice shoes that she bought. That's the other thing. When people spend a lot of money on some stuff that you kind of don't want and you're roped into wearing it, now what do? That's love. That's the holiday magic.
That was like my mother donating her rabbit coat to the homeless on Thanksgiving.
That's the worst.
I'm like, I'm going to walk around the village with my friends and see someone with your initials on a rabbit coat who's homeless, living in a refrigerator box. Like, you are out of touch. She's like, well, I don't feel I should have a fur. I'm like, I don't either, but I don't think you should be doing this with it.
You should have thought that before you kill them rabbits.
Well,
I mean,
there are some homeless wearing her furs right now.
Once they did, put it on. I mean, they're, all right. I don't know what to say.
That's not for me.
That's not for me.
That's not
for me.
I know what is for me, and that ain't it. Is there a business that you would invest in? Yourself is your answer. And your answer is myself being creative and wonderful. Because I would invest in those fucking cookies.
I love you. I need to get out of my own way. And that's my work, is to stay out of my own way. So, and that's been the work of my life, and I love getting in my own way. So that's not for me. Oh, fuck.
You did so much driving yesterday. I only drove home from the shore, and I noticed a phenomenon where driving quickly, you can't drive next to someone else, like exactly next to someone else. It's very unnerving for some reason. Why is that? Because I'm driving, and I look over, and there's somebody there. Like, you're either passing me or I'm passing you. There's no way, when we're the only two people here in this little stretch, that we should be riding parallel. What is that? Why is there such an uncomfortable feeling?
Because you're all going to die right then, at that very moment.
What?
It's just like the fuse is almost at the TNT, right? And you're wondering, when's this bomb going to explode? Who's coming over to think? And then you're all dead. It's too close.
You think it's fear of getting hit that it's the
I know it's them. What are you doing? Are you racing me? Because you're not winning.
Right.
Right? Either win or lose. Don't neck and neck with me. Because now it's like you're just a creep and you're in my weird eye line and I have to keep being aware of you.
Yeah, maybe
you're too close.
It's the
Sparks
awareness.
flying. Sparks
are flying.
It's too much. And you can come over at any time or meet you. All it takes is one quick jerk of the wheel. Everyone's dead. There's no reason for this. There's no advantage for this. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't, that is not for me. And that happened a lot.
I didn't understand why. I'm like, why did you drive up next to me to be parallel with? You obviously want to tell me that my gas thing is open.
It's a perversion.
But why?
That's a pervert. Because there are perverts in the world.
You just wanted to see who was driving this car? And okay, now that you have, keep moving. Like, why? Yes. It was very uncomfortable. And I didn't understand. I'm like, do I ever enjoy driving next to someone? No is the answer. If I did, you'd be in my car.
Well, a vehicle is a weapon. And when somebody is that close to you and they can go off at any time, the bomb reference made a lot of sense. Because they could kill you or you them really errantly. Like not even with cause. So why would you put yourself in that situation? It's a pass. It's a hard pass. It's a super no. Super no.
And in conclusion of today's episode, I will tell you, because I started it in the preview of Am I Lazy? I love hard. Okay?
Hey, there's a drop.
Okay, I will take that out because you said that.
No! What'd you say? I love hard?
Yes.
Oh, now I said it. Fuck me.
Oh, you said them both. I love people hard. It's not getting better. I figured out I'm really lazy. I'm looking at the people that I love. They're the easiest people to love. They really are. The people that are difficult to love, I've kind of worked them, except for the ones I'm related to, worked them out of my life.
I completely misunderstood everything that you're saying. When you started out with I feel lazy and you said I love hard, I didn't hear you say I love with intensity. I love with fervor. I heard you say I love difficulty. I love difficult.
The exact opposite.
I love exhaustion and pain.
That's
and
the
the
opposite
worst
of lazy.
possible. Yes. And so when you said I feel lazy, I thought this was going to be some great mystical revelation.
No, yours was mystical today.
Because I kind of think you do love hard. I think you do love and choose.
Difficult
How
things?
difficult can this be? But you do equally love with fervor and intensity. So, anyway,
but like
back to you.
the easiest people to love, but to actually put a point, like you did have a point. My parents' favorite quote as I grew up was this quote. And then Melissa would date him. We would watch Man on Fire. We would watch Man on Fire, and Denzel Washington would walk out of this exploded car, blood coming down his face, his ass on fire, and my father would say, yeah, and then Melissa would date him. Like, it's just that I would find the most injured, broken, suicidal. Like, I have a history. If they're not that wrong, but that happened twice. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever.
These guys are just so supportive and loving.
They just find and attack you. Yeah, it's called family. So there was that concept, but I love hard. Yes, the most amazing people. It's not difficult. So I'm no hero, is what I'm saying. I think I'm lazy is the answer. But loving hard is for me, so I'm going to do it anyway. So
well, the good news is people who want to fight capitalism, right? You want to go against society.
Go ahead.
And you want to be lazy. The good news is you can do both because capitalists love effort. So you are actively fighting the system when you are lazy. So you can be lazy as a way of loving people so much. You can lazy love them. Can't you?
They're just easy to love. So I'm not doing a hero's work. It's like if you look at
you said I love to go and pick the most brokenest bird in the zoo
and date them.
You know. Yes.
No, I rescue them and then I make them my dog and then they torture me for years.
You do pick some folks who don't want your love. Say you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
That's usually a threat. You're going to get it is usually when you're coming at someone with something violent. But instead, it's you saying, I'm going to love you. You're going to get my love. Here it comes.
Not. These are my arms and legs that are now wrapping around you. I am enveloping you.
God.
You are now loved. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I do find the broken birds, but not so much in my adulthood in humanity because...
Why does it... This is the story. We're writing the story of our own reality. Why on earth would you be concerned in any way about love being easy and natural and effortless? That's what laziness is. Laziness is a refusal of effort. So if you are in a love that has no effort involved, isn't that the height of love and reciprocity? It's supernatural, literally. It's effervesces on its own. It just exists without you doing any work at all. That seems to me the pinnacle, the height. Why are you looking down your nose at it like I do all the good things in my life? Lazy is great. Let's go to sleep.
I'm starting to embrace the lazy. Nope. I'm starting to embrace the love. Yeah, that one. I'm starting to embrace it.
Starting to embrace. No, I'm not. I can't even say it.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to embrace. Dear listener, we love you so much. Thank you for turning us on again this week. We are so grateful for you, all 333 of you. We are a force. We might even have a rally. And if you all show up, we'll love you hard.
Hey.
Okay, I was waiting.
That's some cookie porn.
Cookie. They do it again. Dear listener, check out our cleaning porn. We love you guys. Thank you for showing up and showing out and all that good stuff.
Bye.
Bye.
It's really good.
I love hard.
What'd you say? I love hard?